Right. That's how you see us, moms.
All right. Today is Mother's Day. It's a special day. Mother's Day in the United States was officially founded by Anna Jarvis. Her mother always said there should be a day to honor women, a celebration of their contributions in the world. Anna Jarvis never forgot her mother's words. And when her mother died in 1905, she decided to fulfill them. And she began by organizing a celebration at a Methodist church in West Virginia where pink carnations were a part of the celebration because they were her mother's favorite flower. To Anna, carnations were a pure symbol of a mother's undying love. And today, flowers are a huge part of a Mother's Day celebration. According to the National Retail Federation Society of American Florists, Mother's Day is the second busiest flower season of all time. Second only behind Christmas. Mother's Day is ahead of Valentine's Day.
I knew that.
According to some of the statistics that I found, last year, in 2025, the total amount of money spent on flowers for Mother's Day was nearly $3.2 billion in the United States alone. And tens of millions of bouquets were sent to women for Mother's Day. Anticipating this year, it is estimated that 84% of those celebrating Mother's Day will buy flowers, plants, pots, spending nearly $34 billion alone this year. And the average cost, I forgot to mention that this morning, was $247 that is spent per mother when you add the flowers, the gifts, the cards, and going out to eat. So when you combine that all together, $247, I hope you moms are worth it.
Yeah. All right, Linda, you got that cane.
Because you know what we get on Father's Day? Happy Father's Day. And we get a tie.
I get you some.
So, as the music director this morning said, we just pray that you moms will be able to eat whatever us husbands cook for you. But today, as we celebrate Mother's Day, you got your Mother's Day card.
You have to quick and pull that cord.
Oh, trying to find my phone. I lost my paper.
Is that it?
No. Yeah, we have one. That way I can follow on. Thank you. My wife is happy because she gets flowers for Mother's Day, and it doesn't bother her allergies. But I love the quotes that I found inside. Your laughter is my favorite sound. I love how you always know just what I need. Thanks for being my biggest cheerleader. Your love is my favorite adventure. You're my superhero without a cape. I love you to the moon and back. Thank you for believing in me always. You make ordinary days seem special. Every moment with you is a treasure, Mom. Every hug from you is like magic. And you fill my heart with love every single day. Those are part of the top 30 things that kids have said about their mothers. And so today, what I thought I would do for you is give you a beautiful Easter bouquet. I went Father's Day, I'm now on Easter. Last week all I wanted to do was loot. A Mother's Day bouquet with an array of fresh flowers. The good thing is, no allergies and no bees in these flowers. So you don't get stung from this. But as we go through this, I hope that you will see how loved, cared for, and special you are. First flower we'll start out with is the carnation. It is the flower of Mother's Day. The word carnation comes either from the Greek or the Latin. Both offer us meaningful roots. In Greek, the word is koron, which is a flower garland. And I love that because it reminds us of the necklaces that you women like to wear. And when you go to Hawaii, what do you get? You get a lei. This also reminds me of the story of Esther in the Old Testament. The young Jewish girl who was picked by King Artaxerxes to become his queen. And he didn't give her a garland, but he gave her a crown. You, women, this reminds you, the flower garland should remind you of the crown that you have as mothers, of being one who has power because of the crown. Queen Esther was able to use her power and her position to save the Jewish people from the evil man named Haman, which we will read about 1 month. Love the story of Esther. She came up at a particular time for a particular purpose to save. That reminds me of someone else who came at a particular time to a particular place in order to save. Jesus. And as we'll go through this, we'll see how mothers are the perfect representation of Jesus. It is His love and His care and His provisions here on earth. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 6 tells us that grandchildren are the crowning glory of the aged. Parents are the pride of their children. You remember in Proverbs 31, where it talks about the virtuous woman, it says that her children rise up and call her blessed. This is why. Because it's a pride thing. I mean, we run to our moms with something. But the carnus, and I love this, which is the Latin form of carnation, means flesh, referring to the flower's light pinkish color. You know, you can get carnations in multiple different colors, but I went with pink today because since pink is the color of Mother's Day, but that color, that carnus, is where we get the word incarnation from, which the incarnation, it represents when the Holy Spirit came upon Mary and she became pregnant with Jesus. So when you see a carnation flower, may it remind you of Jesus being here, giving us love. And what does a mother do? A mother loves us and cares for us. It is there's a legend that says that the carnation first appeared on earth because of the tears of Mary when her son was dying on the cross. And so we have this beautiful carnation flower that starts out our bouquet. And then you can't go wrong with the next flower in our bouquet. It's what everybody thinks of at Mother's Day, the rose. And have you stopped and thought about it? I mean, they just have a smell that is unique to them. Notice we never say, stop and smell the daffodils. Or stop and smell the tulips. Or stop and smell the dandelions. Don't smell the dandelions if they've already turned white, because you'll get a nose full of little fluff. You'll be sneezing for days. But roses have a language of their own, telling stories and secrets through their varying colors. I love looking at pictures of the roses because there's so many different varieties of it. You have the white rose. You have the white rose that has red tips. You have the white rose with the orange tips. You have yellow roses. If they did right like they were supposed to, which they've only done it like twice ever, these roses that are down the side, they're supposed to be changing roses. So one time it blooms and it's white. The next time it's supposed to be red, yellow, and pink. And it's supposed to just rotate. It hadn't done that, but most of them that stay either white or red. But it's so interesting with it, and there's something powerful about the rose. There's a Latin phrase called sub rosa, which literally means under the rose. And it refers to something that is told in secret. In ancient Rome, a wild rose was placed on the door to a room where confidential matters were being discussed. And so, like, the emperor would be getting ready to have a meeting over war plans or anything like that. They would put a wild rose on the door. Everybody knew, don't go in, because this is a secret meeting. Even the guards that were outside the door had to move forward away from the door so that they could not hear even a whisper of what was said behind the door. How many times have our mothers been our confidant? We could share secrets with them, and they don't go blabbing. Now, we do something good, going to tell everybody in the world, look what my child did. I mean, you got the bumper stickers. They say, my child's an honor roll. You don't have any bumper stickers to say, my child is straight F's. Or, like me, straight C's and D's. Cleanliness and determination. What I said it was. That didn't work either. But you got all of this, that when we share our secrets, our worries, our problems, our moms don't go blab it to everybody. They may say, my child's going through something, can you pray for them? But they don't go into specifics about it because they hold that to their heart. A mom sees the best in their children. In a world that seems often harsh and cruel, isn't it good to know that we have Christian women and moms that will hold us not only accountable, but will hold our secrets, imperfections, and mistakes inside. They see what we can be, should be, and not all of our flaws. They see our needs and not our faults. They look beyond it. Jesus himself, there's a song that says, he looked beyond my fault and saw my need. Jesus is like our moms are like Jesus. Let me get that right. Our moms are like Jesus, where they see us unconditional. They love us in spite of who we are. In Genesis, we have the story of Rebekah. Rebekah had two sons, twin boys that were nothing but trouble from the time they were born, Jacob and Esau. Jacob was even wrestling with his brother in the womb and was coming out first, and then Esau came out for that, and then Jacob held on to his heel. You remember, Jacob tricked Esau to sell him his birthright and his blessing, and Jacob stole the blessing at the end of his father's life. And Rebekah, even though she knew who her son was, still loved him, still accepted him. It didn't matter how many times that we mess up. Our moms never tell us, that's one too many, I can't love you anymore. I'm done with you. You're dead to me. They still love us. They still care for us. There's another story that reminds me of this rose. You have Salome, who was the mother of James and John, two disciples of Jesus, named the Sons of Thunder. One point, because people were doing things and without talking to Jesus first, and they were doing miracles and great things, they asked, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to burn them up? No, that's not what the purpose was. But their mother knew they were special boys, because you know how moms are. Nobody is as good as your child. No matter how great somebody else could have had 15 doctorates, and you barely got your second grade education, but you're way better than they are because it's your child. Well, she approached Jesus one time and even had the boldness to ask Jesus on their behalf to have seats on either side of Jesus in his kingdom. And so, even though knowing who her sons are, still had pride in them, still cherished them. We need women who believe in us and see all that we can be, holding in confidence our imperfections. So, with that, we celebrate with carnations, we celebrate with roses, and then we celebrate with a beautiful, strong flower, the Gladiolas. And I love looking at the Gladiolas because they're tall, they're stately, and they're just gorgeous flowers. They symbolize strength and moral integrity. Their name comes from the Latin gladius, which means a sword, named for the shape of their leaves. So to give someone a bouquet of gladiolas meant that that person pierces our heart. And I mean, that sounds a little strange, but think about what a mom does. She will pierce the heart of anybody who tries to hurt her children. Right, Gigi? We hear it all the time. Well, that's just the mama bear coming out.
Nice.
I mean, here you have these beautiful cubs, and they're so pretty. You have the adult bears, and they're gigantic, and they're beautiful to look at. But don't ever mess with a cub with their mom anywhere in the vicinity, because that mom will not stop until she viciously, aggressively, and completely protects her child. There is nothing that gets in the way of a mama and her cub. And it's the way that it is with our moms. They guide us, they protect us, they shelter us. In a beautiful role reversal, we have the story of Naomi and Ruth. Naomi had lost her husband, both of her sons, and she told her daughters-in-law, y'all go on, you live your life. Because even if, once I get back to Bethlehem and I find someone to marry, by the time that I can have kids and they are old enough, y'all will be too old to even want to be with a teenager. And one of them left. And then Ruth said, no, wherever you go, I go. Your God will be my God. Sometimes in life, especially the older you get, the roles reverse and we take care of our parents. I mean, Naomi was so heartbroken with what was going on, she changed her name from Naomi, meaning beautiful, to Mara, meaning one who has bitter tears. But Ruth provided for her. She protected her. She shielded her from the harsh reality of life. She came home one day bringing food because she had been able to go into a field and do some work, and found out that that work was in the field of a close kinsman whose name was Boaz. And then Naomi was all excited, said, God has poured out his favor upon us because he is a close kinsman. Went to plan this whole event and ended up Boaz, the kinsman, and Ruth were married, and from that came David, and later life came Jesus. See, Jesus works things out because of that strength and that fierce desire to protect. You know what they say? That if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. That's very true, but there's also another one. Don't make mama mad, because she will protect to the end. But Jesus does the same thing for us. He protects us. He gives us shelter. He gives us protection. He brings his angels around us to protect us from what is in the pathway. So we need people around us that will protect us, that will guide us. So we have the carnations, the roses, the gladiolas, and then next we have beautiful flower, big and bold, and we even had it in our wedding. It's the hydrangeas.
That is not a hydrangea. It's a walking tree.
That is not a hydrangea. Okay, imagine a big, beautiful white ball.
Whoops.
We've got some runners. I should have brought them.
This is a good thing. Isn't it?
The second picture on your handout is the hydrangea. The white ball with the green leaves underneath it. All right.
There. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a hydrangea.
It has beautiful blooms that capture our attention. And the name comes from the Greek hydro, which means water, and angos, which means a jar or vessel. Literally, it means a water barrel. Because it takes nutrients. It takes watering. It takes care. It's not like a cactus that you can plant in the ground, pour a little bit of water on it, come back 6 months later from not doing anything to it, and that cactus is just flourishing and enjoying everything. Kind of like the weeds normally are. Me and Landon were working Friday. We were cleaning up some stuff in a yard, and told Landon, I said, look at how dry it is. There's not even any weeds growing. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is we don't have to worry about weeds. The bad thing is if the weeds don't grow, the grass isn't growing either. And if the grass doesn't grow, we out of a job. But mothers, while they nurture and they water us, they need nurturing too. But notice what they do when mothers pour into their children. They care for them. They make sure that they grow strong and they grow healthy. And they're always making sure that something is right. We've always joked that don't think that mom ever ate a hot meal. Because she would cook it, she'd serve it, make sure everybody had their plate and were eating, and then she would go fix her plate. Because she wanted to make sure that everything was satisfying for her children. Every birthday, we all got our own special meal because cared and loved and nurtured. When you talk about water, you can't help but think of the Samaritan woman in John chapter 4, who came to the well in the darkness, in the heat of the night, heat of the day. It is a day. Came in the heat of the day, and because of her reputation, she didn't have the best reputation. And Jesus is there, greets her and says, "Can I have a drink of water?" Now to us, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but to her, it was everything. A man doesn't speak to a woman that they're not married to alone. It's not even allowed to be alone with them. And here he is. That was one cultural change. Another one, Jews, which Jesus was, do not associate with Samaritans. They were considered half-breeds and disgusting people. The Jews would go miles out of the way, sometimes even days, detour to go the long way around so they didn't have to go even into the city. But here was Jesus. And he tells her, "I will give you living water." Moms give us living water because they nurture us. They show us the pathway to God. And then after she meets him and understands what he's saying, she goes back, leaves her pitcher of water behind. I love that part of it. She goes to draw water and leaves it behind. Goes back to the town, tells everybody, "You've got to come out and see this man who knows everything about me." And they come out, and there was a huge revival in that town because of this. See, she shared the gospel with others, and mothers share the gospel with us. I remember growing up, shows my age, but I remember growing up and Mom teaching with flannel graph. The little fuzzy boards with the little pictures. You could move them around. I always felt special when I got to move it around and play with it and cut them out. We learned so much from our moms. We learned about the Bible. We learned about God. We also learned about disappointment. Sometimes in life, what you get is not always what you want, but it's what you need. Somebody should write a song about that. Because I remember sitting there during the summer and licking those S&H green stamps, turning our tongue as green as the Incredible Hulk, just licking them and sticking it in the book, and then it was time to go to the redemption store. I was all excited because I knew I was going to get something for all that hard work. Go in there, I'm looking all around. "All right, Jeremy, you ready to go?" I grabbed my whatever I was going to take and start going up and said, "Oh no, we've already paid for it, let's go." I didn't get that. We went home with a crock pot. What do I want a crock pot for? I learned the disappointment, but I learned that there can be a benefit from not getting what you want, because man, that crock pot made some really good roast. And and just enjoying the stuff that comes. It don't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter all the gourmet food that you can have. What do you always compare it to? Well, it's good, but it ain't mama's. Our moms nurture us, guide us, and protect us. They teach us things. The last report that was given was in 2022. There was over 5 million mothers in the U.S. that homeschooled their kids that year. That number has drastically increased since then. The hydrangea reminds us of a woman's important job to teach the faith. And as we've been seeing, as we've gone through the book of Mark, what is Jesus doing? He's teaching us about the faith. Again, a mother is the closest we get to see the power and the glory and the love of Jesus Christ. The next flower reminds us of the same thing. It's the sunflower.
Maybe you got it changed.
Okay, that's where you got
Yeah.
That's where I messed up. Okay. So just say the picture is right.
Picture is correct.
The sunflower. A sunflower will literally follow the sun throughout the day, constantly turning its head to follow and trail the sun. And then when the sun goes down, what does it do? Turns its head back in anticipation of seeing the sun. That's exactly what our mothers do. Teaches us to look to the sun. Not the sun in the sky, but the Son of God. To focus our attention on Him. To look up to see. They're called to teach the faith, follow the Son, so that their children will also understand and reach for the rays of God's love. Okay, back on track now. We also need some peonies. They're so pretty. I love peonies. It's another impressive flower. They're gorgeous. But sometimes their thin stems are just not strong enough to hold them up. But it's funny. They don't break. They bend. But they don't break. Obviously, I'm not a mom. I got the wrong parts for that. I don't get to choose what I want to be today. God decided that a long time ago. But you mothers, how many times have you felt like you're about to break? You're at your breaking point. There is nothing else I can do. I'm wiped. I'm spent. I'm done. And then all of a sudden you get strengthened. Something happens and changes everything. Peonies are flexible. We know women are notoriously flexible. Us guys, we've got a schedule and we're on a time frame, but you women, y'all like to have a little bit more flexibility. When we first got together, we'd go on a trip somewhere. I've got this planned. This time. And she was like, do we have any downtime? Yeah, we have that at nighttime. Or it may be I've got like 1 to 4 and we're only going to be there for an hour and a half, but let's get this on schedule because we've got this and this and this we got to do. I have slowed down some on that. A lot. Did slow down a lot on that. But
found out wife don't budge too much on that.
But think about it. You've heard the saying, behind every good man is a strong woman. I'd go a step farther. That's a very true statement, but I'd go a step farther. Behind every great man is a better woman. Because they're going to be there to support you. They're going to be there to lift you up, to strengthen you, to keep you going, to encourage you. Sometimes to help pull you back onto the right track. I wonder what Noah's wife thought when she heard Noah say, I want to build an ark. Going to do what? For why? Remember when Noah built the ark, it never rained. They're in the middle of a desert, so it's not like there's a huge ocean nearby. You're going to build a boat for something that's never ever happened. I love you, honey, but you're crazy. Or what about Moses' wife? When he told her, okay, God told me to just stretch out this arm, and when in this rod, when you do, the Red Sea will part. Curious what that one was. Or even better, a conversation between Sarah and Abraham after Isaac came back from the camping trip and said, "Me and Dad went camping and you'll never believe what happened." It was probably a long time before they went camping again. Mothers are flexible, working with their families. Unfortunately, kids don't come with instruction manuals. Sure would be nice if they did. I think mine came in some foreign language with a whole bunch of pictures that didn't make any sense. Or maybe Google. Or, no, not Google, GPS. There we go. Because you know GPS will get you all mixed up in the wrong direction. But while moms may bend, they don't break, but they still come out looking beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, our next one is a beautiful spring flower, which is the iris. The iris has 3 upright petals that stand for faith, valor, and wisdom. In 1 Samuel, you have the story of Hannah. We just read about her last month. I love Hannah. She pours out her soul to God. I need son. I want a son. Please, God, give me a son. She at one point was so heartbroken, so overbearing, that she was praying in the temple and her mouth was moving, but nothing else moved. And the high priest thought that she was drunk. And she said, "No, I'm bearing my soul to God." And then she conceives and has a son. And she said that I will give him back to the Lord, for he has lent me him. Not the other way. I'm not lending him to God. He was lent him to me. And that brings me to the thought of adoptions. Every year there are thousands of women that give their child up for adoption. And it takes a strong mother to be able to say, "I know I can't do this." But like you said earlier, I don't believe in abortion. I'm not going to kill it. I know somebody else can raise it and give it a better life. And I commend them for that. Another story we see is in Judges chapter 5 of Deborah, the judge. This is hilarious because at one point King Barak was getting ready to go into battle, and he said, "I'll go, but you've got to come with me." And Deborah said, "Fine." The villagers in Israel would not fight. They held back until I, Deborah, arose, until I arose a mother in Israel, and it was well known after that that the woman won the battle. Nobody remembers Barak. There's another story a little bit farther after that of King Sisera that is running for his life and goes into a tent of Jael and lays down, and she goes and gets him some water because he said he was thirsty. He drinks of it and says, "Just lay down and take a nap." And so he lays down, goes to sleep. While he's asleep, she goes and gets a tent peg and drives it straight through his temple, protecting, again, don't mess with a mama bear, protecting her family, her nation, and her God. Yeah, that's why we don't have tent pegs in the house. The iris also became tied to the French monarchy during the Middle Ages. It's now the national flower of France. It's also the image of the fleur de lis, which is a Christian symbol for the Trinity. I didn't realize that's what that represented, but there's an upper piece and then 2 little leaves coming off, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It reminds us of a woman's faith, valor, and wisdom. The beauty of our bouquet as it's getting bigger and more pretty. After this, we have another flower that we normally see in Chrysanthemums. It's the orchid. And I like the orchid. They're pretty. They're revered for their luxurious beauty. It's a symbol of love and strength, but it's delicate. It doesn't last long, which reminds me of our mothers. They're here today and soon gone. It's been a long time since I've seen an orchid, but I can still remember what they look like. I remember what they smell like. Now it's been 10 years. December will make 11. But I can still remember Mom. You know, there's certain things, especially around the holidays, you go and you smell something. Smell the scents of something cooking. Smells like home. Smells like Mom. But think about it. The orchid represents rare beauty. Delicate, exotic, and graceful. What perfect words to describe a mother. Proverbs 31 says, charm is deceitful, and beauty is fading. But a woman who fears the Lord is greatly to be praised. See, you're an orchid, rare and beautiful in all your own little ways. The next flower, I forgot what it looked like. I'd heard of it, but I had to pull up the picture to see what it was. It's heather. It's another flower in our bouquet. And it's not the most prettiest thing. She likes it because it's purple. But it's little stalks. It's flowers, but it kind of looks like a weed in a way. It just sticks up and it's there.
It's just slapped by your wife.
It's not my favorite, but what it represents is great. The scientific name for heather is Calluna vulgaris. It comes from the Greek callun, which means to clean or brush, and from the Latin vulgaris, which means common. Heather twigs were often used to make brooms, baskets, ropes, bedding, and thatch for roofs. It's a common flower. Motherhood is a common thing. It's not rare. There's thousands, millions of moms in the world. But they're industrious. They're useful. They're hardworking. On the back of your handout, it has, from Proverbs 31, it talks about what she does. I mean, look at it. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant ship bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work for her servant girls. She inspects a field. She does work. She goes and goes and goes. Sometimes I wonder if you moms ever sleep. You're up before we get up, and you're up when we go to bed. Do y'all ever get a break? Maybe today you get a break. But heather reminds us of Martha in the Bible. You know, Jesus came to visit one day, him and his disciples, and Martha is busy in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, and getting everything together, and her no good for nothing sister is sitting down on the job at the feet of Jesus listening. But Martha came to Jesus complaining, and Jesus said, Martha, you're busy. You're worried about so many things. Relax. It's okay, moms, to relax. But it's also okay to be doing things. With children, cleaning is sometimes a never-ending deal. It's like trying to staple jelly to the wall. Good luck. It's just going to get messy again. but remember the beauty of Heather, because motherhood is a blessing. So we've come full circle, beautiful, luxurious bouquet with one more flower to go. The last flower, the chrysanthemum, which did not know that until yesterday, that it's the flower of November. In Japan, the unfolding of the chrysanthemum's petals is said to represent pure perfection. And isn't that what mothers see in their children? Do you remember that first time that you held newborn?
Don't forget that.
That smell?
I think you ever forget that, do you?
Now, I don't think
They smell so good.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us have our
Jeremy on the butt.
those little mental images that that we remember when we were newborn babies being held. But, when you look at them, they're so perfect. They're so innocent. And a lot of times, even though you know better, that's how you see your kids. Is they're innocent. They're still good. It doesn't matter what is real. Our mothers see us as perfect. Now, they know different, but they'll defend us. Oh, well, my child is just a perfect little angel. Yeah, and like they say, it's the horns that are holding the halo on. Or I didn't say what kind of angel. But, it's the same way with Jesus. Jesus sees us when we are covered in his blood. He sees us as perfect. We're loved. We're cared for. We're protected. We thank God for women in our lives who bring life and light, color and beauty, meaning and joy to our lives. And so you have the bouquet. The beautiful bouquet of flowers. So that any time that you see these flowers, may they remind you of God's love for you, his protection for you as a mother. But may it also remind us of our mothers. So happy Mother's Day. There's a bouquet just for you. God, thank you. Thank you for the love that you have given us of mothers. How they care for us, how they love us, how they're a picture of you. When you couldn't be physically with us, you gave us a close picture in a mother. May we take the day to honor and remember, but also may we use it to tell others about you. Thank you for being with us, for allowing us to worship you. Be with us as we go through the week, that we will worship you, tell others about you, and come back ready to hear your word again. In your name we pray. Amen.